Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is what I've been playing with today. Today's video is more about the technique for making this kind of grungy, kind of fake rust sort of effect. These started out as a piece of crumb cake. And doesn't that look cool? Now, they demonstrated this technique to us at Onstage, which is the Stampin Up demonstrators convention, I suppose you could call it, and training day. I've just taken it one step further than what they actually showed us. Now, I am going to use these in a project, so stay with me and find out what I do with them. This is a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and I've got a range of 3, 2, 1. This is a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and I have a number of ink pads here. I've got Early Espresso, Cajun Craze, Pumpkin Pie, Soft Suede and Crumb Cake. I have this, which is started life as one of these, sponge scourer. I got the cheapest ones I could find, so these were 3 for 30p. And I just chopped one up into 4 pieces, and I just then took my tweezers and pulled out lumps of it. It was very satisfying. I've given it a little bit of glycerine to get it started, and I'm going to start inking. So I'm going to start with my lightest colour, which is crumb cake. And I'm just going to apply the ink directly to my mat, pick it up with my sponge, and I'm just going to dab. And there's no science, rhyme or reason to this. I am just dabbing, dabbing, dabbing. There's a bit of stray ink there. Okay, now I'm going to go all over the card, but I'm not covering all of the card. Okay, there are spots where the ink won't hit. And I'm going to carry on doing this with the rest of the colours. Speed up the film, give you something to listen to, and then we'll have a look at it when it's finished. And here is my card after I've taken it over to Big Shot and chopped it up with the Garage Gears thin nuts. And when I brought it back, I sponged it a little bit more with the same sponge that I was using, the one with all the holes pulled out of it, with Bermuda Bay, to try and give it a kind of, what do you call it, a patinaed effect. So the next step is, you know, it's coming along, but it's not really looking too much like, you know, like metal. It's a little bit too matte. So I'm inking up another one of my bits of sponge with Versamark, and I'm just dabbing this all over my die cut and inked and sponged piece. All right, and now I'm going to take my clear embossing powder, and I'm going to give that a coat, and then I'm going to tap some of the powder off. Okay, and I'm actually going to give it a blow as well. All right, and I've already done this to most of the other pieces. This is the last one that's left, just to show you what I did. Okay, so next I have my heat gun. I'm going to hold on to my piece with tweezers, and I'm going to heat up the embossing powder. So this was the technique that was demonstrated on stage, and I want to take it a step further. So I have some of the Stampin' Up embossing paste, and it's a brand new pot, so I better open it. Okay. Take that out, pop that in there. Start again. So that was sort of the technique that they showed us on stage. So that was sort of the technique that they showed us on stage. I want to take it a step further. So I have some of the white embossing paste here, and this is a brand new tub. So I'm going to pop some of that onto my palette there. I've actually got plenty there, so I'm going to scoop some of that, put that on one side, and I've got a Pool Party re-inker, just a couple of spots, and one spot of Bermuda Bay re-inker, and I'm just going to mix that up. Like that. Nice textured mess there. And let me see. So let me bring back my old faithful sponge, and I'm going to pick up the texture paste on the sponge, and I'm going to dab it onto the gears. And let's make this colour, this one a little bit darker. And again, just picking up the sponge and just dabbing that on. Dabbing it here, dabbing it there. Paste and paper everywhere. Okay. And this is, you know, nicely messy crafting. Just getting all of those pieces. Now I could have mixed up a kind of Cajun craze, pumpkin pie, maybe a little bit of crumb cake in there, and made a really nice, you know, rusty kind of paste. But I decided I wanted this patina colour. Okay, now I think it's time to stop before I overdo it, because it's very easy to get carried away doing this. So the thing to do now is to just leave this on my, what am I calling it? Can't remember the name of it. On my mat, that'll do. Just leave it here, craft sheet, that's the word. I'm just going to leave it here to dry. It dries quite quickly. While I go and clean up, and when it's had time to dry, then we can use it in a project. Okay, so I set those aside and I gave them a good long time for everything to dry and set up, and this is the effect that I've got, and I really like the way this sort of textured patina came out, so I'm very happy with that. So now I need a project to put them on, and after much thought I decided that they would look good on the window box. So I cut two of the window box shapes, and this is Cajun Craze, and I went over the top of it with some more of the texture paste. This time I coloured it with Cajun Craze and a little bit of pumpkin pie, and same sponge, same magic sponge, just dab 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 all over it. Yeah, I was quite happy with that. And I also have another piece, so I just cut one of the top pieces here, just cut away the rest of it, and this is Bermuda Bay, and same thing again, dab 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 with the rest, and cut a circle out of the middle with one of the layering circles templates. And the one that I used wasn't the largest, it wasn't the next largest, it was the third largest. And I'm going to fast forward through how I put the box together. So I'm just trimming off the end flaps on one of the two die cuts, and now I'm just taking my my folder and making sure that all of those little flaps are pressed down well, because that is going to help me when I start putting it all together. So now I'm taking my liquid adhesive and I'm lining the two die cut pieces up, and I'm lining them up in opposite directions. Now I'm pressing down really, really firmly there, because of course I've got texture paste on those flaps. And now I'm putting together the one from the other side, and I'm just holding it in place with a couple of binder clips, and I'm going to leave it on one side for the adhesive to set. And while I've got my liquid adhesive out, I'm just gluing down the extra flap edges on my frame piece for the top. So while that adhesive is drying, I'm going to work on the panel which is going to go on the top of the box. So ahead of time I've glued down the panels, which are the flaps on the box here, and I had one little bit extra there where I cut it away from the oh dear me, I'm rambling, let's start again. So while that adhesive is setting, I'm going to work on the panel for the top of the box. So ahead of time I've glued down the panels, the flaps, that are on the side of the box. I could have cut them away, but I thought folding them down would be a little bit neater. And I've got one of my die cuts. Now this is the one with a lot of gears together, and I'm going to arrange that inside the panel, and I'm going to have a bit sticking out there, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to be quite generous with the adhesive along the three sides of the panel, and I need to be generous because the I can't think of the name of it, the embossing powder that's making these all shiny isn't particularly absorbent, so they will need a good time. Now as you can see, I've got a bit of gear sticking out there, and I am as usual getting my fingers covered in glue, but that doesn't matter. So I've got that bit sticking out and I don't really need it there, so I'm just going to snip that away. And I can bring it back in on this side to fill in that space there. And this one can fit into that corner there. mesh this one underneath. Okay, and I've got this gear, which I think will fit nicely into this little space here. So I'm going to leave all of that for a few minutes for the adhesive to set. So I've still got a lot of gears all going on here, so I'm going to stick them onto the side panels of the box, just kind of like a little bit of decoration here and there. So yeah, no rhyme or reason to this, all a bit random. Just sort of a gear motif, if you like. So I've glued all those other die cuts around the sides of the box, and the large one I cut apart into individual gears. I've decided that this is going to be the top of my box. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to apply a jolly good layer of liquid adhesive everywhere, all over the back of my panel for the lid, and I am going to glue that on into place. Very carefully. And I've just realised I've stuck it on the bit that I decided was going to be the bottom, but never mind, doesn't matter, because they're both the same at this time. So a little bit of, now again, where the adhesive is sticking is oozing through, that's not going to matter, because it's just going to add to the effect of the grunginess. But what is going to matter is that I can fold those flaps under. And now I just need to close up the base of the box, so I'm going to just roughen up the flaps where I'm going to put the glue with an emery block. This is what you use for making your nails look lovely. And all I'm doing is I'm just taking off the the texture paste that's on those flaps, just to give it a better chance of sticking. So very carefully, a little bead of liquid adhesive along each of these flaps. Now I could have made the box first and then done all the decorations, but I find it easier to decorate things while projects are in their flat state, because they do tend to be a little bit easier to get at things. Okay, so turning my box right sides up, and I'm just going to press down all of those flaps. And there it is, that's the finished article. And when I started this project, it was going to be all about the technique for making the gears look kind of grungy and rusty. And I didn't really have a project in mind at all. I thought I might wind up with a greetings card, so I'm quite pleased with this. Now, if I had been really planning this, perhaps it would have been nice to have the same kind of panel on the side of the box as well. That would have looked nice. But do you know what? I'm very, very happy with what I've got. I'm really pleased with that. So that's it for today. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I'm very, very grateful that you stayed with me to the bitter end. And if you've enjoyed this project, then why not subscribe to my channel, or hit the like button, or leave me a comment, because it all helps me, and I really do appreciate it. But that is it for today. Thank you very, very much for joining me once again, and come back and see me again sometime soon, won't you? But for now, bye bye.